As we grow older, life quietly changes in ways no one prepares us for. Aging is often spoken about with warmth, wisdom, and dignity, but there is another side that people rarely talk about. Not because it is shameful, but because it is uncomfortable. These changes don't mean someone is bad or broken. They are human reactions to loss, fear, habit, and time. Still, understanding them matters, because awareness can protect relationships, mental health, and self-respect. One of the first things many seniors begin to do is talk constantly about their aches, pains, and medical problems. While health concerns are real and deserve attention, conversations can slowly become dominated by complaints. This often happens because the body no longer fades into the background, it demands attention. Sadly, this can push others away and make social interactions feel heavy instead of comforting. Another quiet shift is increased stubbornness. Seniors may resist advice, new ideas, or even helpful suggestions. What looks like stubbornness is often fear of losing control in a world that already feels like it's moving too fast. Holding tightly to old ways becomes a way to feel safe. Many older adults also become overly critical. They may point out flaws, mistakes, or changes they dislike in younger generations. This can sound harsh, but underneath is often grief for a world that no longer exists, and frustration at feeling left behind. Repeating the same stories is another habit that develops with age. Memory retrieval changes, and familiar stories feel safe and comforting. While repetition can test patience, it is usually not intentional and often comes from a desire to connect. Some seniors slowly withdraw from social life. They stop attending gatherings, avoid phone calls, and prefer isolation. This can be mistaken for rudeness or disinterest, but it is often linked to low energy, anxiety, hearing difficulties, or fear of being a burden. There is also a tendency to become overly focused on the past. Seniors may constantly relive old successes, regrets, or losses. While reflection is natural, living too much in yesterday can prevent joy today and deepen feelings of sadness or resentment. Another unpleasant change is increased negativity. Aging can bring loss of friends, strength, independence, and purpose. When gratitude is replaced by constant pessimism, it can drain both the senior and those around them. Many older adults also struggle with personal hygiene or appearance. This is rarely laziness. It may be due to physical pain, depression, reduced mobility, or simply feeling that it no longer matters. Unfortunately, this can affect dignity and social acceptance. Seniors may also become overly suspicious or mistrustful. They might believe others are trying to deceive them or take advantage of them. This often comes from vulnerability and fear of exploitation, especially in a world filled with scams and rapid change. Another difficult habit is emotional bluntness. Seniors may speak without filters, saying things that sound rude or insensitive. This can stem from cognitive changes or simply from feeling they have earned the right to speak freely after a lifetime of restraint. Many seniors resist asking for help, even when they need it. Pride, fear of dependence, or shame can cause them to struggle silently. Unfortunately, this can lead to preventable accidents, loneliness, or declining health. Finally, some seniors unintentionally expect constant attention. Loneliness can create a deep hunger for connection, leading to frequent calls, demands, or emotional dependency. While the need is valid, the behavior can strain relationships if not balanced. These behaviors are not flaws of character, they are signals of fear, loss, adjustment, and unmet emotional needs. Aging does not automatically make someone unpleasant, but unaddressed changes can slowly shape habits that hurt both the individual and those they love. The truth no one tells you is this: awareness is power. When seniors recognize these patterns, they can gently correct them. When families understand them, they can respond with compassion instead of frustration. Aging with grace isn't about pretending everything is fine, it's about noticing what's changing and choosing kindness, curiosity, and connection anyway. Growing older is inevitable. Growing bitter, isolated, or difficult is not. As people grow older, constant complaining and negativity can quietly take over daily life, often without the person even realizing it. What once were small comments about tiredness or inconvenience can slowly turn into a dominant way of communicating. Every conversation begins to revolve around what hurts, what went wrong, who disappointed them, or how the world is no longer what it used to be. This shift does not happen because seniors want to be unpleasant. It usually develops from years of physical discomfort, emotional loss, and unspoken fears about the future. When the body aches daily and energy is limited, it becomes harder to focus on joy, and the mind naturally pays more attention to pain and problems. Negativity often becomes a coping mechanism. Complaining gives seniors a way to release frustration and feel heard in a world where they may already feel invisible. Many older adults experience loss of status, independence, or purpose after retirement or health decline. When life feels smaller, complaints become a way to reclaim importance, even if unintentionally. Unfortunately, this habit can slowly push others away. Family members and friends may begin to avoid conversations because they feel emotionally drained, which only deepens the senior's sense of loneliness and reinforces the negativity. Another reason negativity grows is fear of illness, fear of death, fear of becoming a burden, and fear of being forgotten. These fears often remain unspoken, but they leak out as criticism, pessimism, or constant dissatisfaction. Instead of saying "I'm scared," it feels safer to say "nothing is good anymore." Over time, this mindset reshapes how seniors see the world. Positive moments are overlooked, while minor inconveniences feel overwhelming. What makes this pattern especially harmful is that negativity affects mental and physical health. Constant complaining increases stress hormones, weakens immunity, and contributes to anxiety and depression. It also robs seniors of meaningful connections because people naturally seek uplifting company. Joy doesn't disappear because life has no good moments left. It fades because the mind becomes trained to search only for what's wrong. The good news is that this pattern can be reversed. Awareness is the first step. When seniors notice how often they complain, they can gently pause and redirect their thoughts. Gratitude, even for small things like a warm meal or a kind word, slowly retrains the brain. Sharing feelings honestly instead of complaining endlessly can also bring deeper understanding and closeness. Aging does not require surrendering to negativity. With intention, joy can still exist, not as loud excitement, but as quiet peace, appreciation, and emotional balance. As people grow older, stubbornness and resistance to change often become more noticeable, not because seniors want to be difficult, but because change begins to feel threatening rather than exciting. Life in later years is already filled with uncertainty. Health can shift overnight, routines are disrupted by medical appointments, and independence may slowly decline. In this fragile balance, familiar habits and long-held beliefs become emotional anchors. Letting go of them can feel like losing the last remaining sense of control. What younger people see as flexibility, seniors may experience as risk. Stubbornness often grows from a lifetime of experience. After decades of making decisions, solving problems, and surviving hardships, many seniors trust their own judgment deeply. When advice comes from others, especially younger family members, it can feel like their wisdom is being dismissed or their competence questioned. Saying "I know what I'm doing" becomes a way to protect dignity. Unfortunately, this can block helpful suggestions, even when those suggestions are offered with love and concern. Fear also plays a major role. Learning new technology, adjusting to new routines, or changing long-established habits requires mental and emotional energy that may feel overwhelming. The brain naturally prefers what is familiar. And as cognitive flexibility slows with age, unfamiliar situations can trigger anxiety. Rather than admitting fear, seniors may respond with firm resistance, criticism, or refusal. To outsiders, this looks like stubbornness internally. It is self-defense. This resistance can quietly strain relationships. Family members may feel ignored or frustrated when their efforts to help are rejected. Over time, they may stop offering support altogether, leaving the senior more isolated. At the same time, refusing to adapt can limit opportunities for comfort, safety, and connection. Simple changes like using assistive tools, adjusting daily routines, or accepting help can greatly improve quality of life, but pride often stands in the way. Yet stubbornness is not permanent. When seniors feel respected rather than corrected, they are more open to change, being included in decisions, given time to adjust, and allowed to move at their own pace can soften resistance. Change does not have to mean losing control. It can mean choosing a new way forward. Aging with flexibility is not about giving up identity, it's about preserving independence by adapting wisely. As people grow older, social withdrawal and emotional distance can slowly creep into their lives, often so quietly that neither they nor their loved ones notice it at first. What begins as skipping a few gatherings or returning fewer phone calls can gradually turn into isolation. Seniors may start spending more time alone, preferring silence over conversation and familiarity over connection. This withdrawal is rarely about disliking others. More often, it reflects deep emotional and physical changes that come with aging. One major reason for this withdrawal is declining energy. Social interactions that once felt enjoyable can now feel exhausting. Hearing difficulties, memory lapses, or slower responses can make conversations stressful, especially in groups. Seniors may fear embarrassment, mishearing a question, forgetting a name, or losing their train of thought. To avoid these uncomfortable moments, they choose solitude. Even though loneliness may hurt more in the long run, loss also plays a powerful role. As seniors lose spouses, friends, siblings, or peers, their social circle naturally shrinks. Forming new relationships later in life can feel difficult or pointless, especially when grief is unresolved. Emotional distance becomes a form of self-protection. By not getting too close, seniors try to avoid future pain, even if it means sacrificing companionship. Another factor is the feeling of being misunderstood or irrelevant. Rapid cultural and technological changes can make seniors feel disconnected from younger generations. When conversations revolve around unfamiliar topics or values, they may feel invisible or dismissed. Over time, this sense of not belonging encourages emotional withdrawal. It feels easier to step back than to constantly feel out of place. Depression and anxiety, which are common but often undiagnosed in older adults, also contribute to isolation. Seniors may lose interest in activities they once loved, including social ones. They may not openly express sadness, but instead retreat inward, creating emotional distance that others mistake for coldness or indifference. Unfortunately, social withdrawal has serious consequences. Isolation increases the risk of cognitive decline, heart disease, and early mortality. Emotionally, it deepens feelings of emptiness and reinforces the belief that one is alone or unimportant. The less seniors interact, the harder it becomes. To reconnect, the path back begins with understanding and patience. Seniors need reassurance that they are valued, not judged. Small, meaningful interactions, one-on-one conversations, short visits, or shared routines can feel safer than large gatherings. Emotional closeness does not require constant social activity. It grows from feeling seen and heard. Aging does not mean disappearing from the world. With gentle support and effort, connection can still be a powerful source of comfort, purpose, and warmth. As people age, many find themselves living more in the past while quietly struggling with the present. Memories from earlier years often feel clearer, warmer, and safer than today's reality. The past represents a time of strength, purpose, and belonging when roles were defined and life felt more predictable, as the present brings physical limitations, unfamiliar technology, and constant change. The mind naturally retreats to memories that offer comfort and identity. Remembering old achievements, relationships, and traditions becomes a way to remind oneself, I mattered, I was capable, I lived fully. However, when reflection turns into fixation, it can create emotional imbalance. Seniors may repeatedly relive old stories, regrets, or better days, comparing them to a present that feels disappointing or confusing. This comparison often leads to dissatisfaction. Instead of appreciating what still exists, the focus shifts to what has been lost: youth, independence, loved ones, or social status. The present starts to feel like a constant reminder of decline rather than a space for new meaning. Struggling with modern changes intensifies this pattern. Rapid advancements in technology, shifting social norms, and faster-paced lifestyles can leave seniors feeling overwhelmed and left behind. Simple tasks like using smartphones, online services, or automated systems can trigger frustration and self-doubt. Rather than admitting difficulty, many retreat further into the past, where competence and confidence once came naturally. The phrase "things were better back then" often masks the deeper feeling of "I don't know where I fit now." This backward focus can also affect relationships. Constantly referencing the past may make conversations feel repetitive or disconnected for others. Younger family members may feel criticized or misunderstood when the past is used as a standard to judge the present. Over time, this can create emotional distance, reinforcing the senior's belief that the present world no longer has space for them. Living in the past also limits emotional growth. While memories are valuable, they cannot replace engagement with life as it is now. When seniors stop exploring new interests, routines, or perspectives, days become repetitive and joy becomes rare. The mind becomes stuck and motivation fades. Balance is the key. Honoring the past should provide strength, not escape. When seniors gently acknowledge their losses while staying curious about the present, they reclaim agency. Learning something new, adapting routines, or finding small daily pleasures helps rebuild confidence. Aging does not erase relevance. The present still holds meaning, connection, and purpose if one is willing to step into it with patience and self-compassion. As people grow older, the fear of dependence can quietly shape behavior in ways that are often misunderstood. After a lifetime of self-reliance, providing for others, and making independent decisions, the idea of needing help can feel deeply threatening. Dependence is often associated with weakness, loss of dignity, or becoming a burden instead of openly expressing this fear. Many seniors respond by trying to maintain control over their surroundings, their routines, and even the people around them. What looks like controlling behavior is often a desperate attempt to preserve autonomy in a phase of life where so much already feels uncertain. This fear of losing independence can also lead to increased suspicion. Seniors may question others' intentions, doubt advice, or assume they are being manipulated or judged. The world can feel less safe when physical strength declines and cognitive sharpness changes. Stories of scams, exploitation, and neglect amplify these fears. As a result, seniors may become guarded, mistrustful, or defensive, even toward loved ones who genuinely want to help. Saying "I don't trust anyone" often really means "I'm afraid of being taken advantage of." Blunt or harsh communication frequently grows from this same place of fear. Seniors may speak without filters, criticize openly, or make comments that seem insensitive. This is not always due to rudeness or lack of empathy. Sometimes it reflects cognitive changes that reduce impulse control. But more often it comes from emotional exhaustion. When someone feels their independence slipping away, patience wears thin, politeness feels less important than being heard, respected, and taken seriously. Honesty becomes sharp because vulnerability feels unsafe. Unfortunately, these behaviors can strain relationships. Family members may feel pushed away, unappreciated, or hurt by constant suspicion or controlling demands. Over time, they may reduce contact to protect their own emotional well-being, which only reinforces the senior's fear of abandonment and dependence. It becomes a painful cycle. Fear leads to control leads to distance, and distance confirms the fear. The most damaging part is that this pattern often isolates seniors emotionally. By trying so hard not to need others, they end up feeling more alone. True independence does not mean refusing all help. It means choosing support wisely while maintaining self-respect. Accepting assistance does not erase a lifetime of strength, it honors it. Breaking this cycle begins with trust and communication. When seniors feel respected, involved in decisions, and given choices instead of commands, their need to control softens. Expressing fear honestly instead of masking it with suspicion or bluntness can deepen connection rather than weaken it. Aging will naturally bring some level of dependence, but it does not have to steal dignity. With understanding and compassion both from seniors and those around them, support can become empowering rather than threatening.